This is Jeff Nippard, and today we're going to be putting his top exercises to the test. The question is, what makes an exercise a top exercise?
So I have 3 criteria. The first is high tension and high stretch.
High stretch,
So
okay.
the muscle needs to have something to work against in the stretched position. The second thing is it needs to feel good. So that means it doesn't give you pain. It has like a smooth, nice feel to it. Like you feel it in the muscle more than you do in the joint.
Potential for overload?
That's it.
That's actually it?
My man.
Let's go, okay.
Potential for overload.
Okay.
Yeah, so you want to be able to add reps or add weight over time.
Now, personally, I couldn't agree more with this criteria. I think every single point is absolutely fantastic. And I think these criteria are really easy for people to justify whether or not an exercise is right for them. Because what somebody feels in terms of tension, stretch, and if it feels good or not might not feel the best for somebody else. So using these criteria that Jeff gives, I think is an excellent way to know if the exercise is for you. Now, the first exercise they opt in for is an incline barbell bench press.
There was a recent study that compared flat bench to incline bench. For the lower pecs, same growth. For the
Really?
mid pecs, same growth. For the upper pecs, better growth with incline. Again, that's only one study, but it does tell us that the incline press doesn't just target the upper pecs, it will grow your entire pec.
And like Jeff said, the difference in terms of optimization of the actual growth of the chest is no difference when it's flat versus incline for the lower and mid pec. But when it gets to that upper chest, the incline is just a little bit more optimal. So he opts in for an incline press. However, when you go back to his criteria of does it feel good? For me personally, barbell work in general hasn't always felt the best. I much prefer machines, cables, or dumbbells. So when it comes to this exercise, it would not be a top exercise for myself. I would definitely swap this incline press out for a different variation, whether cable, dumbbell, or machine, literally anything but barbell. The next exercise we have is a bit of a mouthful, but is actually seated super stretch cable flies. Now, personally, I actually have no problem with this. I think this is a great exercise variation. It's something that you don't see of all the time. And if you're new to the gym and you want some variation to play with, or if you've been going for a long time, this is definitely something you can throw into your routine. Now, personally, this exercise for me fits all 3 of my criteria. However, the next day after I do a fly variation, whether it's pec deck, cable, dumbbell, I have some really weird sternum pain. So in terms of does it feel good? Yes, in the moment, but the next day, not so much. And since removing the fly out of my exercise selection and just doing only cable presses instead, that pain has not returned. So personally, this exercise is great. However, rather than doing a fly, I might just stick with my cable presses. But again, that's for me. And that's just to show you what feels good for one person may not feel good for another.
For back, I think it's one of the rare muscles where you really do want 2 types of exercises. One is a vertical pull and one is a horizontal pull. So for the vertical pull, that can be a pull down or a pull up. The horizontal pull can be basically any type of row. I like a chest supported row.
I do too.
Because you're very stable, everything is locked in, and so you can direct all that tension directly to your back.
Now, what Jeff says about back training, I think is absolutely spot on. He talks about a vertical pull as well as a horizontal, with the vertical being either a pull up or a pull down. Now, depending on where you're at in your fitness endeavors, a pull up might be too challenging where you cannot get high stretch and high tension. It doesn't feel good for you, and it's very hard to progress, versus a pull down on a cable or a machine might be a better choice for you. So definitely opt in for the one that fits best for you. Now, what Jeff says next about a chest supported row, I could not agree with more. My all-time favorite chest support row is an incline dumbbell row. This for me passes all 3 of those criterias with flying colors. High tension, high stretch. It feels absolutely fantastic, and I'm able to progress at this movement.
You do this, you turn side on.
Oh.
So now you get a pre-stretch on your rear delt and you sweep the weight out like this. You actually get that deep stretch aspect of the range of motion.
I've never seen someone do like that.
Yeah, I haven't either, actually.
Okay, now at this point, I think Jeff is just showing off. I mean, he's reinventing the wheel when it comes to rear delt flies, hitting the pec deck in this really reverse cowgirl position here that you don't see of too often at the gym. I mean, Will Tennyson even said it himself. Now, every time I see a variation of an exercise that I've never done before, naturally, I'm intrigued. However, for me personally at my gym, the way the reverse pec deck is set up, it starts in this very neutral position, but then as you either fly or reverse, it kind of comes up at a bit of an incline, which personally, when doing rear delt flies, did not feel the most optimal. And the reason why is because the rear delt fibers run from high to low. So anything going against those fibers isn't the most optimal in terms of an exercise. So rather than opt in for this, I personally like a cable fly where you start from high and you pull it low, going in the same direction as those fibers.
One thing I've been doing lately is actually raising the height of the cable. The cable will apply most resistance to your side delt when there's a 90-degree angle between the cable and your arm.
Now, personally, I am a sucker for some cable side laterals. And what Jeff is describing here in terms of raising the cable up, I had to give this a shot. And you know what? It makes a huge difference in the overall contraction, stretch, and squeeze of this muscle. So if you are a fan of some cable side laterals like myself, do the variation where you're able to raise the handle of the cable up to around maybe knee height, allowing for the most optimal contraction in that side lateral. Now, this next bicep exercise that Jeff is doing is actually quite interesting. When it comes to smaller muscle groups like shoulders, biceps, triceps, I try not to do too much unilateral work. I try, if I can, work both sides of my body out at the same time to maximize my time in the gym. If I'm constantly just doing a bunch of unilateral work, I'm gonna be in the gym for twice as long versus just working both sides of my body out at the same time. But this bicep exercise is definitely something I'm gonna be doing of more often because it does pass all of these criteria that Jeff uses to know if it's a good exercise or not. And so if you've never given this variation a try, do it. Now, seeing Jeff end this workout with 2 different tricep movements lets me know that I'm not doing enough when it comes to triceps. I'll be honest, when I train my triceps, I don't really do a whole lot. I'll just pick a movement for the day, whether it's skull crushers or push downs, and I'll do 2 to 3 working sets all out till failure and call it a day. But the way Jeff breaks down each head of the tricep and describing the most optimal way to work that entire muscle group lets me know that I should be doing at least 2 exercises for my triceps. Overall, I found this video by Will and Jeff both entertaining and educational. Definitely gave me some things to think about in my training. I wouldn't necessarily do every exercise Jeff does in here because personally, some of the exercises don't really feel the best for me, but doesn't mean that the knowledge he's giving is incorrect. I'm wrapping the video up here. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you are new, and I will see you guys in the next one.